If you like to laugh, and who doesn't, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to My Funny House with the Powell brothers. Frank Powell is a real estate broker who was born and raised in San Diego, along with Frank's brother Mark, a real estate broker who also lives in San Diego. Each week, the Powell brothers bring in a special guest comedian to share hilarious real estate stories so you can learn what can go really right and what can go really wrong with home improvements and home ownership. So now, let's get into it with My Funny House. Here are your hosts, Frank and Mark Powell on The Answer San Diego.
Good morning, San Diego. Welcome to My Funny House. My name is Mark Powell. I'm a real estate broker. Thank you very much. And sitting right next to me is my brother Frank Powell, another real estate broker.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in again. Nice Saturday morning. And let's bring in our co-host, the special Maria Herman.
Yay. It's the best.
Come on. What kind of applause was that?
We need a big applause from Maria.
Big applause?
Yeah, there you go.
Big applause?
It's the children again applauding.
Yeah, applauding.
Good morning. Good morning.
Crazy. It's going to be a crazy show.
Yeah, I hope so. I am, because to join in all the craziness, we needed one more person. He was one of San Diego's favorite comedians, the one and only Tony Calabrese.
Woo!
Hey, how you doing?
His theme song is back
Mama.
on.
Hey!
Mama.
You broke my heart, Fredo.
Kiss the ring.
I'm smart, not like people say.
Hey, today we have a really good show. Today. Oh, sorry, Maria. What was that?
No, I was just going to ask what he had in his trunk. Please go on.
What do you got in your trunk, Tony?
What do you got in your trunk, Tony?
Right now, just a baseball bat.
Okay. Today's show is titled Basic Home Maintenance Tips. And we know buying a house is actually the first step to ownership. The next portions of that is how do you maintain it in case you want to sell it? Because just recently we came across a house that we were selling, and there were a lot of little things wrong with it. Nothing big, but a majority of little things. And one thing that was wrong with it was the doorbell didn't work. Remember that, Frank?
Nobody's doorbell works even, unless you get,
What do you do?
The latest ring. Well,
You bang.
there you go.
You bang
Yeah.
really
I
loud.
disconnected mine.
Did you really?
I did.
Honk your horn.
I hear it.
The strange thing about today that we've seen, because Mark and I often walk around neighborhoods saying hi to people, is that no one wants you knocking on their door anymore. There's too many other ways to get in touch, and knocking on someone's door is interrupting them. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't like it.
Well, if you two guys are walking around knocking on doors,
Yeah,
it
that's
looks
true.
a little weird.
Well, it's true. When Mark and I walk around with our suits on, they think either the IRS are at the door, the
Right.
FBI agents.
What happens when Tony knocks on the door?
Oh, you don't
Well,
answer.
they pay.
Yeah, they pay, right?
I give you some money. But the thing is, we're talking about home maintenance. So one of the things that people forget to do is maintain simple things like their doorbell doesn't work, so they just ignore it when there's solutions to repairing that.
Yeah, they're super good ones. In fact, you don't even need to hardwire them anymore. There's kits that you can buy that have remotes. So you just put a glue stick on one side, you stick at your door, and then it sends an automatic chime wherever you put the other chime that you plug into your wall. So there's no more hard wiring. It's very simple. They sell them at all the big box stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, and so
Well, a lot of
forth.
people
It's
have
one
the-
quick solution.
They have the Ring doorbells now, too. A lot of people have gone to those kind of security kind of things.
Well, that's what I recommend. There's a whole bunch of them now. It started with Ring, but it's very nice that somebody can go within even a 10-foot radius, 20-foot radius, and it'll activate, and then you can see it from anywhere in the world and actually talk to them from anywhere in the world. Those are getting more and more simple at first. They seem to be well advanced, but the installation is super simple on those as well.
And it's an added security, right?
Yeah, it's added security, and then you can go from there. There's cameras, there's Ring cameras that you can put around the perimeter that's all Wi-Fi, so there's no more hard wirings, and you put the app on your phone. You can see everything going on. You can have up to like 32 cameras.
It's not that expensive.
No, they're very reasonable.
They're
now.
smart. It's a company that goes, hey, let's sell it for less, and everyone will buy it. We'll make the same profit.
Here's another thing that people need to consider: restoring power to dead outlets. You ever had a dead outlet?
Well, I had one that I thought was dead, and then it blew me across the room.
Did you? What'd you do? Well, you're not supposed to.
What happened?
What happened?
I'll tell you what happened.
Okay.
My wife's sister wallpapered 2 rooms for the kids. And then my wife thought, oh, that'd be a great idea. We could do that. Well, I don't do handyman stuff. I never realized you're supposed to unplug or turn off the electricity when you put wet wallpaper and then smooth it out
did
over
you
a light
really?
socket with your hand.
Yikes.
How bad was it?
It knocked me across the room.
Oh, man. Okay.
And that's
I
not
was
easy to
just
do.
thinking, this is before your wife was complaining about you to me, and I kind of got the impression that she planned it that way, Tony.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it would not surprise me.
But he survived. Here's another house maintenance tip. Clean out exhaust fans to prevent mold and other things. So Frank will tell us the reason why it's important to clean out exhaust fans.
Well, if you look, everyone has like a vent in the bathroom. You have vents in your house that you're probably not aware of. But when you look up, look close, and there's usually a whole bunch of dust attached. So that dust is going to obviously do damage on people's breathing, your eyes, allergic reactions. It's not going to make a good environment inside of your house where you want it to be clean. It happens pretty quick. They say change them every 6 months or a year. But in my filters, in my home, because I live by a canyon, I change them every 3 months. And if you see what you pull out of those vents, and they're very cheap, they're like $5 to put one of these.
The tiny exhaust fan filters.
There's also the bigger filters, 24 by 25.
They look like, they're square, rectangle.
Yeah, and they're square, and they go. There's several different type of filters, but that one takes out all the big particles out, and then it goes into another filter that goes all the way down to microns.
Yeah, they look like they have honeycomb in them.
That's
right.
And if you do have a child or someone with asthma or difficulty breathing, you can also put cheesecloth on the outside of the vents that go inside.
Right.
So when the air does come through, the particles coming in could be stopped with a cheesecloth. That's like the simplest way that you can do it.
Never even realized that.
Well, why is it important to clear out your dryer vents, though?
Well, many fires in garages start with the lint that's left in the dryer vents.
Correct.
There is a heater down there. People don't understand. There's gas dryers and there's electric dryers. Well, gas dryers are just like a gas water heater. There's a flame that's always there that heats up the drum. If there's a lot of lint inside the exhaust fan that you don't clean out, that's combustible. And once that starts, your garage can catch on fire. So you always want to clean that out. And there's people that do that. You don't have to figure it out. These are handyman jobs. You take it apart. You move out the dryer. There's tools that you can take out. They're pipe cleaners, and then reinstall them.
We had that happen in our apartment when we noticed that the dryer wasn't drying the clothes as efficiently.
Right.
Like it would take 10 times as long to dry some towels. And then we discovered, on top of not having cleaned out the exhaust, that a bird had laid a nest.
Oh, yeah.
Inside?
Right in the exhaust. Yes.
Right. Yes. So they do have, right now they sell these flaps on the outside. When the exhaust fan is blowing, the flaps open. And when there's no pressure, it closes just for that reason, because you don't want a bird nest in there.
Or rats.
Or a squirrel.
Or
a squirrel.
anything can climb in.
Yeah. One thing
of course, now we don't have any fresh eggs anymore, but...
Yeah, well...
Oh, God. Okay.
One thing that we need to look at, and this is consistent, my house and everybody's house, is to re-grout or re-caulk around your tub or shower. And there's a difference between caulking and grouting. And I know, once again, I'm deferring to the expert over here, who's going to tell us what's the difference between grout and caulk.
Grouting is
Sorry.
Grout is a dry powder that you buy.
All right. Yeah. Are we all 5-year-olds?
Oh
yes, it's killing me right
Go
now.
ahead.
Right.
Okay, I'll talk about grout first. Grout you buy in different colors and different textures. Or sand grout comes in a dry bag. You mix it with water, then you apply it with a sponge, and then you wipe it down. Caulking is more of like looks like paste. It comes in a tube. Yeah. It's easier to deal with. So if you're doing with tile and you have to do grout work, you probably want to call someone. But caulking is really simple. The easiest way to do is by putting 2 pieces of tape on both sides of where the caulk's going to be, and then you dab in the caulking, and then with your finger you press it in, and then you remove the tape on the top and bottom. You have a perfect grout line or a perfect caulking line.
Yeah, but the hardest part is getting the old cork off, isn't it?
It depends.
It's very difficult to do.
Depends if the caulk is moldy or.
Well, sometimes mold gets underneath it, And not with the grout so much, but when you have that silicone top that
I hate when that happens.
it gets moldy underneath. It does. And you have to remove it.
You don't want a green caulking.
You don't.
No, that's a bad sign.
It wasn't a joke, guys. I was just.
Let's talk
I
about
feel like
double.
I'm the only person. I feel like I'm the only person who's not really entirely in on the joke because I'm the only person who can pronounce it cork.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the accent. Okay, so the next thing you want to check is your rain gutters and your downspouts because if those things get clogged, you're going to have big issues. So
Definitely.
So there's Frank. What is that device that you see on rain gutters now?
Well, so leaf guard is a debris guard. You could put these screens on top. They're expensive, but they're actually a great idea. It's a super tight mesh that only allows water to drip through, and even the granules on your top of your composite roof can go down, and that's usually what causes the problems first. Right. And if you have the screen on top of the rain gutter, you don't have those issues or leaves blowing in there. That's the best way to do it. However, it's extremely expensive. We're talking, $5 to $10,000 to do a house.
Right.
Wow.
And so
it is expensive.
Yeah, and then so if you don't do that and you want to get like the plastic ones at Home Depot, which I don't recommend because they warp, but if you want to install them yourself, you want to have. This is where you hire someone because the biggest medical call for a house when people are dealing with home maintenance is falling off a roof or falling off a ladder. So hire a professional, clean
or
your
wear
gutters.
a helmet.
Well, even if you wear a helmet, you hit your ribs or whatever.
Yeah, that's not going to help you when
Go ahead, Maria. I'm sorry.
you break it. Oh, no, I was going to say it won't help you if you break your leg.
Right, exactly.
No.
Well, if your downspouts just dripping slowly,
Yeah.
it needs to be cleaned out.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the main thing. If you have a dripping downspout, that needs to be completely.
Speaking of that, something people don't do is they don't clear their drains. Just simply pulling out the stop in there, and you'd be surprised what you can fish out of there with a coat hanger.
Especially if you have little kids.
Oh my!
Oh yeah, with all the hair.
Daughters,
Oh, my God.
daughters are.
They now sell a
They're
product
shedding.
at Home Depot that dissolves hair really easy. I mean, they have it at Lowe's too, I'm sure, but it's highlighted on one of their end caps, and I tried it, and it does work. You just pour it in there, and within a half an hour, whatever is in there gets burned. It won't burn your plastic pipes or your polyurethane pipes, but it will dissolve hair and other things. So it's very easy though. All you do, there's two screws that are on the cover of it's a screen. You take that off, pour it in there, leave it there for an hour or two, or fish it out with a coat hanger like Mark did. But then you pull out disgusting things
That's
that look
gross.
like dead animals. So there's a couple ways to do it, or you hire a plumber that can go in there and clean out all your drains for a certain amount of money.
Speaking of hiring a plumber, you should hire a plumber to flush out your water heater. By flushing out your water heater, I mean they'll actually drain it completely and get rid of the debris that's in there. And there's in some water heaters they also have these. They're called sediment traps.
Right.
They used to catch debris from.
Right now, by code, you have to have a sediment trap on all water heaters that you install. There's a whole bunch of new laws for water heaters, and there's so much debris and calcium and minerals in our water in California. You don't want that inside of your water heater.
You know what's good about having a water heater in case of an
Warm
emergency?
water? Yeah.
Well, exactly.
Well,
Ding, ding, ding.
yeah. Warm water is.
well, they have tankless water heaters, and then you have regular water heaters. In case of an emergency, you have 50 gallons of water that you can drink. You may have to boil it, but it's there, it's fresh. And there's a downspout on every water heater. There's a little turn valve. Yep. And so you do have emergency water. If you think about it, there's 50 gallons or whatever your water heater is, 30 gallons.
That's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water,
house,
right. So just in case you need that.
I know this a lot of water. I've had it spill out all over my garage before.
Yeah, there you go.
The water tank burst.
Sometimes in a person's home, they'll have a leak, but they won't know they have a leak. It could be a leak from a sprinkler. It could be a leaky toilet because the flap isn't sealing properly. So there's a way to check if you have a leak without having to call a plumber or doing a lot of maintenance.
Yeah,
Yes.
for what? The plumbing that's getting soapy
how to do
water?
it?
How do you do it, Mark?
I don't know. We have to ask Frank. Frank's, we ask
Well, it's very
Frank.
easy.
Ask Jeeve.
You have to get dish soap because that creates bubbles, either Dove or palm olive. You mix it with some water, and then you dab it on the area that you think there's a leak. If there's a bubble created from the soap,
Well, that's if the pipe's exposed.
Right.
Right.
What if the pipe is not exposed?
Well then.
Oh, you look at the meter. So if you have all your electricity off or all your water off, are we talking about electric or are we talking about water?
Water, not
Okay,
electricity.
so water.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you
don't want to pour water on electricity.
Well, when your electricity leaks, it's
Right.
completely
Exactly.
Outside your house, there's a cover that covers the main water. You lift up that cover and you'll see like a digital clock in there that's turning. If all of your water's on and that's still turning, you have a leak. And typically 90% of all leaks occur in the irrigation lines outside of your house. They crack.
And if you have a water leak, and let's say it's going on for a month or two, and you get that bill from the water department,
Be a $600 bill.
you got to pay it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's it. It's like you got to pay it.
Right. That's another good reason why people are going from a big grass yard, because it really doesn't make sense to grow grass in a desert, which we live. So you should have a lot of vegetation around to make it look good. But wherever there's grass, I would just go artificial grass, because that's where all the leaks are. That's where the problems are. That's where the weeds grow. It's a pain in the butt. It doesn't survive if you don't water it every day. It just takes too much water.
We should have a complete artificial grass golf course. Well, they have one.
I was going to say, don't they have one?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
called,
but
it's
called miniature golf.
Exactly.
You know, I know because
Trying to get it in the clown's mouth or past the windmill, you know.
we're still talking about golf, right?
That's right.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Hey, another thing that people really need to do is touch up paint. And that sometimes is challenging, to touch up interior paint, because what do you do if you don't, let's say you don't have the paint can anymore? Is there a way to get that paint? Frank?
Oh, yeah. There's
You take a paint chip, don't you?
Yeah. There
you
Take a
go.
paint chip.
Marie
Yeah.
knows. How do you do it?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, usually I press my face really close up against the wall and then I gnaw a piece off.
Unless
So
I've seen her do it.
With it's the down under way we do it. No, yeah, you take it like I would take a knife and take an actual chip somewhere where it doesn't matter.
But if
Yes.
if it's really old, sometimes you just got to.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
That's right.
But some of those paints, I mean, if you have like an old apartment building or something, some of the paints, like if you have like Navajo white, you can't find some of those old.
Oh, you're not going to find that because they don't even allow you to use the word Navajo
That's
for
what I'm
paint.
saying.
I was
Yeah,
going to
find
say
that
that doesn't
paint.
even exist anymore.
Right.
That's the point I was
Really?
making.
Doesn't
is that
exist?
It doesn't exist.
Not the
So,
word Navajo. It's considered
they
detrimental
took away
against
all
the
that.
Native Americans.
Oh,
So trying to-
really?
Plus, if you, when we had our apartments, what I saw was that if it's been a long time since it's been painted, you may have a chip in the paint, but the other paint's faded.
Right.
So when you try and match it, and if you have a smoker that lived in there,
Yeah, you're not going to match it. You know what you're going to do? You're going to
Just
call a
paint the whole
painter.
thing.
You're gonna
Right.
you just paint the whole thing.
Paint is still relatively cheap. The only thing about painting your house is you're paying for the labor.
Yep.
I mean, but it is a pain in the butt. And there's a difference between someone who paints and a professional painter. There's a big difference. So although you can paint, if you're not a professional painter, you're going to know at the end of the day that an amateur did it. So just hire a professional painter.
Here's another maintenance thing that people don't do is fill in the cracks in their driveway, because you can see they have these cracks in the driveway. Then all of a sudden they got weeds growing out of it, or little. So there's a way to actually fill these. there's actually a way to repair those.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I could just see now you can actually grow weed in the cracks of your driveway.
There you
You know.
You can.
So anyway, there's a couple options. One of them, the easiest, is just putting some decomposed granite. Decomposed granite looks like
In the crack itself?
you can do that. Then you
Okay.
water it down, and
That's
then
right.
and then you're
That's
then you're
right.
cleaning
That's
it.
right.
And so that prevents weeds. Typically, eventually a weed will come through decomposed granite, but decomposed granite, you can buy it in like a 20-pound sack at Home Depot. It looks like sand, but it's actually crushed granite. So when you get it in the crack, it'll get nice and solid, and then you can sweep out the rest.
That's
What
right.
What about like putting in a weed killer first?
Well, you know what? You can put weed killer, but make sure the weed killer is, I would just say, friendly to the groundwater, because too much weed killer is bad for everything.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we try to avoid that. You know, you scrape it out with a knife, you kill all the weeds, you sweep it, you put the decomposed granite, you sweep it again, you put some water on there, it'll get compacted. That's the fastest way and easiest.
We have a few more maintenance tips before we have to end here, but the other thing is to clean off your air conditioning unit outside. The
Compressor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to clean that.
The compressor has a fan. They make them pretty good to stay outdoors for a long time. However, if you live like me, by a freeway, there's some sounds weird, but it's true. Brake dust will come up, and you'll start seeing like black stuff, You'll have to get that off to make sure that the fan is spinning properly. Have
Right.
it checked about
Soot,
every year.
they call it soot.
Soot, and there are different insects that can go in there and cause havoc. And if there's
So how do you clean it?
well, I just power wash mine.
Right.
Yeah, just take a power washer or blast it. If you don't have a power washer, take
Yeah.
your hose.
Oh, you got to
Just
get a
spray
power
it
washer.
down.
Power washers are
Well,
good.
Yeah, but every house should have a power washer.
Oh.
We were staying at a friend's house in
I have my
Arizona.
grandson. Sorry.
You do? What, does he get stuck in the HVAC?
He's my
all the
power washer.
Oh, I was going to say we were staying at a friend's house in Arizona, and they had a guy come to clean out the HVAC, and there was a lizard stuck inside. Like this.
Was it alive?
Yes.
He was still
No,
alive?
No.
not anymore.
I was gonna
Oh,
say.
jeez. That was sad.
No, it's Arizona. It was a desiccated lizard.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Petrified lizard in Arizona. But that's
Yeah,
exactly right.
yeah.
So many things can get, even if you put everything to prevent things from climbing in, somehow they find a way in. So always check, especially if you have like a weird smell.
Well, yeah, check for rodents.
There's so much to talk about. We're going to have to make this 2 shows because look what time it is, Mark.
Okay,
crazy.
but just one last
Okay,
thing.
go
This
ahead.
is really important.
I love-
It's to change out your heating filters. Your heater filter. I'm not talking about the air vents. I'm talking
Right,
about
the intake's different than actually the heater.
Yeah, the heater. You go in the garage, wherever. Figure out what heater you have.
Right, exactly.
Take the old one out. Go to your local hardware store.
The biggest maintenance problem with heaters and HVAC is always dust, the pile of dust. So the more filters you have,
right.
the better
And then
you
the
are.
dust gets inside the heater, and then the
Right.
flames turn orange.
And
It's
then
bad.
you always take a marker and mark the date that you're putting it in with a big magic marker because you're going to forget. Then put something on your phone in 6 months that says check the filter, and then go there and buy it. And you don't have to store it because there's always a Home Depot really close by, so just go and get them. That's like your extra
They're
garage.
super cheap.
Yeah, they're cheap.
They're very cheap.
And they're really, really good for your health. Those are the best things because they're health related.
You don't eat them though. You put them in the.
No, you don't eat them.
And you always, what you do is you change them on the weekend, and generally the weekend is the time you go out. But you can go out during the week, and if you do go out, you're going to want to go to a comedy place.
That's right.
And
Oh.
Maria is going to tell us how to do that.
Maria, how do
Well, you can Google Comedy Heights over the weekend. We have Friday and Saturday shows that are free. They're no cover,
Really?
Wow.
and they're both they're hilarious.
Best shows in San
Tony is
Diego.
often, Tony's often one of our headliners. And Tony, you've got shows happening.
I have a lot of private Christmas shows coming on. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
How else do we
Tis
do?
the season for Christmas.
And
party.
remember, you can always hire Maria or Tony to be an MC at any of your parties.
Yes.
And if you're looking for real estate, you can hire the Powell Brothers at Discovery Property Group or Powell Brothers Realty. You can look us up online at Powell Brothers Realty, or you can hit us up on
Give us a call, 858-922-7725, or
Yes.
check out all of us on the YouTube, My Funny House
That's it. Hit
with
us
the
up on
Powell
YouTube.
Brothers.
My Funny House with the Powell Brothers. Hey, thanks for
Hey.
listening. We appreciate everybody out there.
Hey, thanks, Maria. Thanks,
Ciao.
Tony.
Guys.
Thank
Ciao.
you guys for tuning in.
Thanks so much for joining us today for My Funny House with the Powell Brothers, right here on The Answer San Diego. Join us next week as the Powell Brothers bring you more funny stories of what can go really right and what can go really wrong with home improvements and home ownership, and bring the laughs to you with yet another hilarious guest comedian. To find out more about the Powell Brothers, be sure to check out their website at powellbrothersrealty.com, or you can visit myfunnyhouse.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week for My Funny House on The Answer San Diego.